Good afternoon to you. This is our January 10th edition of the map discussion. This is our current satellite imagery that we have this early afternoon. Our continued expansion of the winter storm across the Mid-South is evident here, and we're still seeing some, somebody can argue that this might be a baroclinic leaf here. Maybe a little bit more of an argument could be made to the northern part where surface cyclone genesis, that's what that means, is taking place. So there's surface cyclones being developed all over the place over here. So the next cloud blob appears to be over Montana. That's associated with the next storm system that's coming in. So let's take a look at our 500 millibar maps. We're going to start in the lower part of the atmosphere this time. This is the 850 millibar map. This is showing a low-level cyclone over Louisiana this morning at 7 a.m. Eastern time with some enhanced flow across the northern Gulf of Mexico. Typically, whenever you have wind from the south, you have some isentropic lift. And what that means is pretty much, warm air rises. So once warm air is being brought by the wind, you have what we call warm air advection, which we kind of discussed in that video last night. And since warm air rises and warm air advection is ongoing across parts of the southern Mississippi River Valley and the Mid-South, this means you have rising motion. So this is why you are seeing in a moment those clouds and the radar expansions of the precipitation field, especially on the northern end across the mid-Mississippi River Valley. If we go up to about halfway up, this is the 500 millibar map, again at 7 a.m. Eastern time, you have a sharp trough across the upper Mississippi River Valley into the northern Mexico regions with a pretty solid flow across the deep south and the southern Mississippi River Valley. I'll get it out eventually. If we're looking at our height falls are mainly along a line that's almost stretches the entirety of the Mississippi River Valley. Maybe just offset just to the west, but this is where our isentropic lift, synoptic scale lift is occurring, or where you have height falls. This is where you can have some convergence at the surface, and convergence at the surface promotes cyclone genesis. And we've seen evidence of that already on our satellite imagery. So, we could piece things together. It's like a puzzle. Piecing together all of the synoptic scale features, the height falls that we saw on the previous maps coincide with the snow reports as far north as Michigan, while the warm air advection at the lower levels is more evident across the southern parts of the United States, southeastern and parts of the deep south, where some heavier precipitation is occurring. But if we scoot over here towards North Carolina, let's take a look at KGSP, for instance. A lot of snow reports are being reported or sent in from mPing. So this is citizen scientists, so to say, just generally reporting the weather at the surface that they are looking at. And if we loop this, you can see that the vast majority of the reports are coming in as snow from Lenoir, Boone, all the way south and eastward across Gastonia, Charlotte, and into Rock Hill. And some snow reports are being reported in Greenville, Spartanburg, and in parts of North Georgia. So how is all of this going to evolve? I'm glad you asked that question, because we got the multi-model ensemble. Here is our multi-model ensemble ran this morning. This takes a look at the precipitation fields, which is the national blend of models, which incorporates every single model pretty much across the world. And we also have our surface pressure and temperature fields that are averaged from the various runs of the GFS and GEFS, as well as a machine learning model. But the solid blue line here that you see, that is the surface freezing mark. So if we push this forward, you can see as this system moves across the eastern parts of the United States, precipitation will start to pick up, at least across parts of the Mid-South and into the Carolinas. And notice where that blue line is. So for reference, there's Charlotte, North Carolina. That blue line is to the south and east. So typically anything above or to the north of that solid blue line will be some type of wintry precipitation. Now, what we discussed in the last video was that some of this wintry precipitation will not fall as snow, but ice, either freezing rain or sleet, and that's because of the warm nose. And the deeper that warm nose, the more freezing rain is expected. Now, those areas of freezing rain are still north of this solid blue line, but that will cut down into snowfall totals. So we'll get into that in a moment. But as we move on from this storm exits the East Coast and in a very progressive manner, at least according to our ensemble modeling program. The next one, you got high pressure centered over the lower Ohio River Valley, perhaps the deep south, and another perhaps a little clipper system pivoting across the Great Lakes region, bringing in some cooler air behind it, making its way all the way south to perhaps southern Alabama and southern Mississippi, as this cold high pressure then takes control of the weather for at least the foreseeable future, at least until the 16th anyways. But we noted that in the last week's videos that this cold air was going to hang around for a while, and it still appears that cooler than average temperatures will still hang around at least parts of the eastern United States. As far as totals go, when it's all said and done, by 1 a.m. Sunday morning, this system should be off the coast, but a wide swath of 6 to 10 inches could be seen across parts of Arkansas, southern Missouri into western Tennessee, and across the Charlotte metro region. Again, some ice may accumulate, but we're looking at 2 inches, generally speaking, across the Charlotte metro region, getting up to 4 inches towards Hickory and 5 inches towards Boone, with locally higher amounts across the mountains of North Carolina, especially the southwestern mountains, where perhaps even 6 to 9 inches could be seen in some of those areas. As far as ice, we'll look at the total new ice. And we're approaching damaging ice accumulations, especially across parts of northern Georgia, north central Georgia, where up to a half an inch could be expected in ice. But generally speaking, around 2/10 of an inch across the Charlotte metro region, extending into Greenville, Spartanburg, up towards Raleigh, could be expected. And points in between are approaching some dangerous levels of ice accumulation. So widespread power outages, if this verifies, is likely across parts of the upstate of South Carolina and into Georgia, and perhaps even some parts of south central North Carolina, as more of an ice storm would probably set up in the next couple of hours in those regions between Greenville, Spartanburg, Columbia, South Carolina, Raleigh, and Charlotte. Those areas, anywhere in between there, could see some damaging ice accumulations. So take your precautions, be mindful of the weather and you know weather radio, as well as warnings and updates as they become available. So just be mindful of the impacts that are expected in your location, your favorite media outlets, National Weather Service. Just pay attention to those forecasts for your local conditions, and be just be safe out there. But that about does it for this particular map discussion. If any new updates are needed, I will post a short video. But I think everything is going as forecast so far. Yeah, so thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.